doing? Good. Wow, you guys can do better than that. How's everybody doing? Jeez. All right, here, let me get this off here. Don't want to get the artist, the musician, too upset here. So I was asked to give a little bit of a talk and kind of about what we do, but I thought instead, as I prayed about this, I really wanted to inspire you guys because you guys inspire me. You really, really inspire me. 160 miles or so each. That's a pretty amazing feat for you guys to do. So as I was definitely praying about this, I was told I was given 45 minutes talking. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Totally kidding. Just a few minutes here to speak with you today. And so instead, I'd actually like to take a moment to ask an incredibly provocative question. And that is, when do you plan to die? And how do you plan to die? How many days, hours, minutes are left on your clock? There is only one who knows the day or the hour of your final moment here on earth. And he was the one who died and rose again from the grave, Jesus Christ. Let me ask you this. If there was a cell phone app that you could take your fingerprints and it could tell you the exact moment in time when you would meet your Maker, would you download it? Would you use it? Life expectancy in the United States is an average of 78.8 years. For men, it's 76 years old. For women, it's 81 years old. Now compare this with your current age. At 19, you're 1/4 of the way through your life. At 39, you're halfway. At 59, you're 3/4. And if you're over the age of 78, congratulations. You beat the odds. 78.8 years equals 4,098 weeks, or 28,000 days, 690 hours, or 41.4 minutes is the average length of life. Of all the depleting resources on the world, time is the most scarce. Anthony DeMello, a Jesuit priest, said this: "A man found an eagle's egg and put it in the nest of a barnyard hen. The eagle hatched on the brood with chicks and grew up with them. All his life the eagle did what the barnyard chicks did, thinking he was a barnyard chicken. He scratched the earth for worms and insects. He chuckled and cackled, and he would thrash his wings and fly a few feet into the air. Years passed and the eagle grew very old. One day he saw a magnificent bird above him in the cloudless sky. It was gliding in graceful majesty among the powerful wind currents, with scarcely beating his strong golden wings. The old eagle looked up in awe, and he said, 'Who's that?' he asked. 'That's the eagle, the king of the birds,' said his neighbor. 'He belongs to the sky, and we belong to the earth. We're chickens.' So the eagle lived and died as a chicken, for that's what he thought he was. So how do we spend this time? Do we spend it as chickens, or do we spend it as eagles? You and I are children of God. We hold the words of salvation in Holy Scripture and a relationship with Jesus Christ through the prayers and adoration. Today we face many obstacles in our attempts to protect and defend human life. First and foremost, the biggest obstacle to overcome is ourselves. Too often I hear people say that the attack on innocent human life, abortion, euthanasia, assisted suicide, and contraceptives are simply too great, that these attacks must be fought in the halls of Congress, the Supreme Court, or the White House. But last I checked, they don't perform abortions in the halls of Congress. While there is much to be done in the political sphere, these attacks on human life happen right here at home. They happen in your neighborhood. They happen to our friends and our families. These lies, shadowed by so-called choice, are permeating our homes every day. If you had a sewer backup in your home, how long would it take for you to call a plumber? A pipe had burst, and not only is the sewage from your own home coming into your home, but other homes are backing in as well. Would it take you 5 minutes, 20 minutes, or 3 hours to react? Or would you just let it start pouring in while you go about your daily life? I hope the answer is an obvious one, that you would call a plumber right away, regardless of the cost, in hopes of getting the mess cleaned up and back to normal as soon as possible. Why then do we allow the sewage of the culture of death to pour into our homes through our televisions, computers, video games, tablets, and yes, cell phones? From pornography to homosexuality and beyond, the culture of death has an unwavering commitment to disconnect you from God. Have you considered how much time you and your loved ones spend consuming the content from these devices, and how many hours, minutes, and seconds have been wasted away? My first major paradigm shift came in 2008 when I received a frantic phone call from my wife informing me that our then 4-week-old son, Ethan, had stopped breathing, and an ambulance was on its way to take him to the hospital. It was the next 11 days we sat and prayed and waited in the hospital while Ethan fought for his life. While in the ICU, Ethan was connected to every tube and wire imaginable and couldn't even cry due to his vocal cords being blocked. It was in these 11 days that I realized I had wasted so much time up until that point. I had rejected God's call for my life to live as an eagle, and I was caught in the life of consumerism, desiring that 3-bedroom home, that fast car, that beautiful wife, and those 2 kids. I was looking for the shortcuts the world was offering instead of seeking the narrow path that God had laid before me. It was there in that hospital that I learned the first lesson of life, and that was death. Each of us are just a car accident ride, one trip and fall, one missed heartbeat, or even, yes, one lightning strike away from meeting our Maker. For my wife and me, it was about finding a way to give back. After months of looking, we found 40 Days for Life as our home. 40 days of prayer and fasting, peaceful vigil, and grassroots community outreach to bring an end to abortion here in our local community. By the grace of God, this local effort grew like wildfire, bringing people together from many different faith backgrounds in a peaceful, Christ-centered effort. Only a few short years later, I left my full-time career at a local engineering firm to start and build the local Coalition for Life. We started by building up the success of the 40 Days for Life campaign with a new cutting-edge sidewalk counseling effort. Due to the work of those on the sidewalk, we've now seen 2,100 turnarounds right there in front of our local Planned Parenthood. And this was just in the short 6.5-year time frame. It wasn't about adding anything to sidewalk counseling, but it was about removing the hostility, the anger, the hurt, and replacing it with unconditional love. We've grown past the sidewalk to now helping several women directly through our newest program, Women's Care Connect, a unique type of pregnancy care center that meets every woman exactly where they are. Through Women's Care Connect, we've had the opportunity to hold in our arms 130 of these beautiful children saved from abortion. Praise be to God. We couldn't have accomplished this on our own. We worked closely with our local pregnancy centers, maternity homes, food banks, health centers, and abuse prevention centers. This isn't to ignore the incredible work done in the Missouri State Legislature. From lawmakers to pro-life lobbyists, we've seen the defunding of Planned Parenthood, a 72-hour waiting period, parental consent, informed consent, ultrasound laws, and the list goes on and on. And thank you to our lawmakers here in Missouri and across our great land. All of this together has brought the number of abortions here in Missouri from 6,881 in 2009 down to 4,562 in 2016, a 33% reduction in abortions in just the last 7 years. The pro-life movement is alive and well in Missouri, and thank you and welcome to Missouri. We see also that abortion is now at the forefront of every political election, and now, yes, the Supreme Court nomination. So how are you doing? Our risen Lord has called each of us to soar like eagles. Are you living your life as a chicken, pecking at the ground, wishing you could fly? Are you leaving what should be done to proclaim the gospel of life today until tomorrow? As I look around to see a group of incredible athletes who have trained for weeks, months, or even years for this moment in time, a group that collectively has traveled over 2,000 miles across our great nation to raise funds and awareness for women and families facing unplanned pregnancies. You are my heroes. And you are the heroes of the unborn children whose lives are on the line due to legalized abortion. Thank you for being the heroes. As we celebrate the amazing gift of life and the completion of the 2018 National Ride today, let us not grow weary of the path ahead. Today is not the end, but just the beginning of the next chapter. In 2 Timothy 4, God speaks to us. I fought the good fight. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith. In the future, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award me on that day. And not only to me, but also to all who have loved his appearing. According to Inc.com, a survey of those who are dying reveals 12 common statements that they make. I wish I had spent more time with the people I love. I wish I had worried less. I wish I had forgiven more. I wish I had stood up for myself. I wish I had lived my own life. I wish I had been more honest. I wish I had worked less. I wish I had cared less about what other people think. I wish I had lived up to my full potential. I wish I had faced my fears. I wish I'd stopped chasing the wrong things. I wish I had lived more in the moment. Notice what missed the list? I wish I had more money or spent more time watching Netflix. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's about believing in your ability to fly like eagles and spend more time with the ones you love. This is the way to holiness. This is the narrow way to the culture of life, when each and every one of us lives to our fullest potential, whether it's bike riding or our daily work. And I'll end with a quote from country music star Tim McGraw. He said, I was in my early 40s with a lot of life before me, and a moment came that stopped me on a dime. I spent most of the next days looking at the x-rays, talking about the options and talking about sweet times. I asked him when it sank in that it might really be the real end. How does it hit you when you get that kind of news? Man, what'd you do? He said, I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing, I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu. And I loved deeper, I spoke sweeter, I gave forgiveness I'd been denying. And he said, someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. So go out there and live, fight the good fight, and be the face of Christ in the world that desperately needs your love. Thank you.
I gave forgiveness I've been denying. And he said, someday